Hello everybody, welcome to the first draft of my Moonrage build for the Druid in Diablo 4. So first off, the way this is going to work is you have the Moonrage, kills have a 5% chance to summon a wolf companion to your side for 20 to 30 seconds. In addition, gain +3 to wolves. Pretty sweet. So we're going to use this to then combo with Shepherd's Aspect, right? So we're not necessarily using the wolves for damage, we just want to try to summon as many as we can, because then with Shepherd's Aspect, it's going to pump the damage of our core skills up a ton, right? So like if I go and I kill a pack of spiders and like blind burrows where there's like 20 spiders or something, and I get 1 or 2 of these, that's a 40% increase into my damage for the next 20 to 30 seconds, right? And then, you know, you think about like you just keep summoning them and you keep summoning them, who knows how many of these you can chain. Obviously this is a first draft, this is a Theorycraft, the season is not out yet, but this is going to be the build that I'm going to be working towards because I think it's going to be pretty cool. So let's go ahead and hop into the other two. So you have the barber. The other idea behind this is that this is why we're running this in a Grizzly Rage shell, is because they didn't nerf Aspect to the Rampaging Werebeast, meaning that you're going to get an absolute ton of damage out of this. So if I can get a bunch of wolves summoned, right, go into my Aspect of the Rampaging Werebeast, right, crit something, and then all of a sudden I start proccing the barber, then all the damage that these wolves are doing, all the damage that my shred's doing with Blurred Beast, etc., is going to then be stored and then the damage is going to erupt onto surrounding enemies, increased by 10% per second. So I'm getting another 40% multiplier to my critical strike damage, as well as, you know, all subsequent damage, right? So like that crit is going to be stored and turned into a bomb that's going to explode, right? So the idea here, you know, we use the wolves to amp up our shred damage, so then we can get a nice crit to then amp up the barber damage, and then utilize Aspect of the Rampaging Werebeast because it's going to be increasing your crit damage. And keep in mind, it does not say there's a cooldown on the barber, so that means these explosions should essentially continue to just keep going off, right? So like if I go into, you know, my Grizzly Rage and then I start critting, the idea should be that this is just chain exploding, right? Just causing like a bunch of chain bombs and everything, right? So that's kind of where I'm at here, right? Then you have, you know, Aspect of the Blurred Beast, so it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it works functionally, but yeah. And then we have Creeping Death, so your damage over time effects are increased by 30 to 40% for each different crowd control effect on the target. Unstoppable monsters and staggered bosses instead take 110 to 130% increased damage from your damage over time effects. So this increases our bossing pretty good, because we will have access to immobilize and stuff like that, and I will be trying to find, you know, good ways to implement good amounts of stagger and stuff into this. But yeah, so there's that. And then so 40%, so we're running Pentient Greaves because it's going to give us chill, and then we're going to get a slow from our poison, and then we're going to get an immobilize effect from our storm strike. So that's going to be 3, so it's going to be 120% increased damage. And then, so that's kind of the idea behind Creeping Death, why I'm running that one. Next, so we have Aspect of Disobedience, Aspect of Might, pretty standard defensive stuff. Now you can run, and if you don't want to run Tempest Roar, you can run like Disobedience or Might, and then you can run Claw instead. I don't know how high this build's going to go up because of just with all the damage reduction nerfs, it's really hard to tell, but I do know that this at minimum should be fun at least, you know, until you really start trying to push tier 4. But anyways, so then we have Aspect of the Alpha. The reason why I chose this is because we do have so many wolves, and I was thinking, if I could make them spread rabies, right, that's going to put a bunch more poison on them, right? If I have like 5, 6, 7 wolves all applying rabies, right, which then could potentially stack up with my Creeping Death and with my Aspect of the Blurred Beast to actually give me a pretty relevant amount of poison damage. So I was like, that's kind of interesting. And then I also decided, you know, I'll give Storm's Companion another chance. I don't expect this to really turn out that great with Storm's Companion, but I am going to try it just to say that I like went all in on wolves just to see exactly how much damage they could do with this Moonrage thing going on. Now this is going to turn them into a nature skill, make them benefit from all the nature skill stuff, which is going to be pretty cool. So your wolf companions are infused with the power of the storm, dealing lightning damage against Stormhound ability. And if you're wondering, no, Tempest Roar will not make it to where you can use your wolves inside of Grizzly Rage, because it does base storm skills, not just storm skills, which really sucks because I think wolves being able to be used inside Grizzly Rage would make this completely like super good and functional. But oh well, I digress. But it is going to turn into a storm skill. It's going to give you a lot of ranks into wolves. It's going to give you more companion skill damage. So because we have, because who knows how many wolves we're actually going to be able to summon with this, because it is only a 5% chance. So there's a lot up in the air in terms of like, how many wolves we'll actually be able to summon and like the functionality of it. So I'll have to do, obviously more testing when the season goes live later on today. But this is definitely going to be what I'm going for first. Obviously direwolf's aspect of the rampaging werebeast, and then aspect of the bird beast for the items. When it comes to boons, the other thing too that I find interesting is combo for the storm. So if I use Storm's Companion, it turns them into nature magic skills, right? Nature magic skills have up to a 10% chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 2 seconds. So I'm wondering, right, like, again, let's assume we have like 6 or 7 wolves out, right? It bare minimum, right? Even if I like took off like ranks into them and I didn't invest so heavily into their damage, maybe they will act as a good source of CDR, since CDR just got nerfed, right? So maybe all these hits are just going to make it to where I have my Grizzly Rage up even more. Let's see, extend the duration of ultimate skills by 25%. Masochistic got nerfed pretty hard, so I don't know if I'm going to end up using that, but I am going to do Scythe Talons, Iron Feather, because Iron Feather did get buffed by 4%, because I do like max life and I do like defense, but depending on what level I'm playing at, if I don't feel like I need the max life, I'll switch it over to critical strike damage or attack speed, because this build does stack pretty well with attack speed. And another thing I'm going to try is I'm thinking about taking Shepherd's Aspect, moving it to the amulet, moving Blurred Beast to a one-hand, and then doing a totem for more CDR, and then running something like Accelerating Aspect, or what would be another good one might be like the aspect of the Stampede, so it increases the damage of the wolves by like 26%, and you get 1 additional wolf plus 1 additional raven, which, because I'm also curious to see how aspect of the alpha is going to turn out, if that's even going to be useful or not, but we shall see. I'm going to be trying all different kinds of builds. I'll even throw aspect of the alpha on a 2-handed weapon and then try to go all in on the wolves at some point just to see what they can do. But yeah, so then moving on into the skill tree. So Storm Strike, Enhanced Storm Strike, Fierce Storm Strike. I'm going to have a link in the description below. Shred, pretty typical stuff here. Predatory Instinct, Heart of the Wild, Wild Impulses. We're going to go Blood Howl, Enhanced Blood Howl, Innate Blood Howl just for some healing, a little bit of defense. Wolves, Enhanced Wolves, Brutal Wolves. The only reason why I'm not running Poison Creepers because I'm not relying on the actives of these, and this one gives the least amount of the least amount of companions in terms of how many you get, right? So I get 3 from this, I get 2 from this, so I'm going to try to stack the companions, and I'm going to try Poison Creeper variation as well. But I think the interesting Poison Creeper build is going to be around that. It's going to be like a Trample Slide Changeling's Det one, which is going to be something else I'm going to try out as well. So we have poison enemies are slowed by 8%. We have critical strikes with werewolf skills, deal 23% of their base damage as poisoning. So this is going to be a pretty big way to apply poison. Envenom, additional critical strike chance, defiance, and natural disaster. This is because just to enhance my wolves damage a little bit, because I am going to, at first, right, as you can see, I do have 5 ranks into it. I am going to try out their damage at first, but I'm kind of suspecting I'll end up moving those points into something else, like maybe I'll move them into rabies to try to like amp up the poison damage or something like that. And then Lupine Ferocity. Now, I do think that because of the Barber, there might be an argument to take Ursine's Strength and just take a 30% damage increase all the time over a guaranteed crit and 70% every 6th hit. So I'm going to be testing out using, both of these, but yeah, that's but yeah, that's the that is the build. This is the first Theorycraft. I am suspecting, again, that using all these uniques is probably going to turn out pretty poorly in terms of defense, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'll keep messing around with it. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time.